So I'd like to take a minute to just review our mole ratio and our mole to mole conversions. For these questions, I'm looking at page 3 in your note packet. Remember, the whole point of stoichiometry is to ask yourself, if I have a certain amount of one thing, how much of another thing can I make? Or if I have a certain amount of one thing, how much of another reactant do I need for that reaction to occur? I'm always going to ask you one of two things for my given. You're either going to be given grams of something, or you are going to be given moles of something. If I give you grams, you have to turn it into moles before you can do anything else in the problem. And to turn grams into moles, this is what we did in the last unit on the test. You have to divide by the molar mass of whatever I gave you. I'm going to then ask you to find either moles of something else, or I'm going to ask you to find grams of something else. How do you get from moles of one thing to moles of another? This is where you use your mole ratio. And the mole ratio comes from the coefficients in a balanced reaction. If I don't see a number in front of a reactant, then I can assume it's an imaginary 1. If I ask you to find grams of something, you have to turn moles into grams. To turn moles into grams, again, this is what we tested on last unit. You have to use the molar mass, and you multiply by the molar mass of B. So let's go ahead and work through a problem. For the first example, I gave you 5.65 moles of F2. So we always start out by writing our given 5.65 moles of F2. I'm asking you to find moles of N2. Even though I have 3 things or 3 compounds in my reaction, I can only work with 2 at a time. So in this example, I only am worrying about the F2 and the N2. Since I started with moles of F2, I need to put 3 moles of F2 on the bottom of my railroad in order for those to cancel out. And I'm asking you to find moles of N2, so I will put 1 mole of N2 on the top. At this point, we multiply across the top, 5.65 times 1, and I divide by the bottom, which is 3. 5.65 divided by 3 gets me 1.8, and my final unit should be moles of N2. Why don't you go ahead and try 2B on your own, and then come back and check your answer on the next video.